What is it, Sammy?
Chicken combo. It's a chicken combo.
Wow, honey, that's cool, babe. Hey guys, we're picking it right back up. We're gonna do our part 2 to our last convo that we started about just opening up and being real about our last 5 years, our life transition that we went through, about some tearing down that we had to go through, rebuilding of a foundation. So we're just gonna get right back into it. If you have not listened to part 1 yet, go back, listen to part 1, and then come back and jump into this video to part 2. All right, so babe.
Yeah, so something Ashley said in the first video, and it was like, for the last 5 years, we've been really giving ourselves to children and to business. And there's a phrase that that has so been guiding us, and that is everything in life is a catalyst for wholeness. Meaning, life is not what, first and foremost, what you think it is, that thing outside of you. That thing outside of you is designed to bring awareness to what's going on inside of you, because that is what life is about, first and foremost. Eternal life is not so much about a destination. It's not so much about a place. That has been so overemphasized. Eternal life, it's a quality. It's a type of life. It's being present in this moment. The difference between living here now, not in the future, and not in the past. That quality of life, right? So everything in life is a catalyst for wholeness. With that said, for us, for me especially, the marketing stuff, business stuff, it was a front. I feel like it was a front. It was the vehicle that was used to bring awareness to me of what I was unconscious to, of what I was on, just on loop, so to speak. And so with that said, business was always up and down the last 5 years. Because we acknowledged what was really going on here, and it was messy. This type of like hard stuff, it's messy. And that's why most of us are just not walking in freedom, in true success from the inside out, right? Because it gets messy. And so that's what I wanted to just emphasize when you talked about the last 5 years. Now, moving forward, we find ourselves in a place where we still feel stuff every day, sometimes more so than other times throughout the day. Mm-hmm. The point is not, I'm never going to experience any painful feeling again. Mm-hmm. That's far from it. It's not even about, am I done? Like, am I there? Am I fully healed? Am I fully, when I hear people say, oh yeah, I did therapy, I'm good. I'm like, dude, you don't get it. It's like, there was always 2 trees in the garden. The point was just don't eat from the wrong tree. Don't be so surprised that there's another tree in the garden.
Meaning like we've discovered, when we went through that first big part that we went through, it was like we hadn't gone through any of this. So it was so much that needed to be processed through,
right.
and
it's like maintenance,
reconciled. Now. Yeah, exactly. So now
Lifestyle.
It's like little ones that come up that we just know what to do with. We're like, whoa, okay, we need to pull back here. We need to tune in. We need to, reconcile this thing and just really, what's the word with kids? To
respond,
resolve,
regulate, resolve, yeah.
To regulate it, which regulating is just like any kid's tantrum. When kids tantrum, all they need to do is regulate the emotion, and that's why they until they get it out. And then they're fine. They like literally snap out of it. The same is true with us. Like how often do we yeah, on the inside. And then we just were like, no, don't feel that. Oh, no, that's bad. Oh, don't go there. Oh my gosh, that's too messy. Oh, that you will never come out of that. We like justify it in our heads. We don't go there in our hearts, and we keep shoving down, stuffing down. And that's when you come into a conversation with somebody and they're like, yeah, I'm doing really good. And you're like, you are not good. You can just feel the vibration, because the heart has not been tended to, but the mind is like, I'm good. Press through. You got this. You can do this. Like, be positive. Like, it's so not about that. So it's, and if that's you, it's not to say that's wrong or bad. It's just having an understanding of what to do with the feels. I remember feeling back in the day, like, my mom had dealt with depression for many years, and I would feel feelings of sadness. And when I would think about letting myself feel that sadness, I would think to myself, I will never come out of this place if I go there. Like, if I let myself feel a little bit of the sadness, I'm going to drown in depression like my mom did for years, and I'll never come out of it. That was, a belief system that I had and held on to, but it wasn't the truth. Like, I just simply needed to, and this is how it works. Like, if it's something you have not tended to yet, it's going to feel big and overwhelming, like it won't ever end. But it really is a traveling through. There's a scripture that references that. It's a traveling through the valley of the shadow of death. It's not a destination. You don't stay there. But if you don't travel through it, you're like either going around it or you're trying to go over it. And it will never feel like it gets resolved or reconciled, because you're not tending to it and tuning in and allowing your body to feel and, get through it by tending to the emotion, like any child needs to, so
that's so good. It's you got to feel through it. So, like, I'm thinking about this, something we always say to our girls. We work very hard at this. They'll say things like, I am scared, I am shy, what else, you fill in the blank, right? And I say to them, you are not scared. But in order to prevent them from being in denial, I say to them, you simply feel scared. There's a big difference. You see the space between I feel scared versus I am scared. The I am scared leaves you powerless. The I feel scared means I can do something about this, because I'm not that which I feel. But think about this. Growing up in a culture where children should be seen and not heard, we did not have a voice at the table. If I said I'm sad, I would hear, don't be sad, don't cry, don't be scared, don't be sick. So
you're not sick.
Like in a very shameful tone. The undercurrent is shame-based, right? So think about that. Every time for years of your life, to this day, you still talk like that. We still talk like that. I am scared. Literally for 40, 30, 20 years, we are wiring our subconscious mind so that we perceive ourselves as scaredness. We perceive ourselves as fear. But then connected to that is so much shame, because I'm not supposed to be that which I'm feeling, which I think I am for so many years. You see how crazy that is? And now, to avoid it all, I am just going to go and abandon myself and live outside of myself based on what I do, based on who I know, how much money I have or don't have. You fill in the blanks on that one. And so now instead I say, you feel scared, and that's okay. That feeling is not bad or wrong or shameful. It's just like the weather outside. Sometimes it rains, sometimes there's thunder, sometimes there's lightning. I'm not so, oh my God, it's thunder and lightning. Oh, that's just awful. It's terrible. No, it's called life. And that's why what we're simply talking about is living in a state of awareness with a sense of well-being, irrespective of what's happening outside of you. You are able to sleep on the boat while there's a storm going on outside, because you are not defined by that which is outside of you. You are defined by the life that is in you, that is one with you. Christ, you are one with Christ. That is so powerful. So instead of now saying my whole life, I am scared, I am fear, I am sad, instead, I acknowledge that I'm feeling those things, and that's a part of life, and I'm I appropriate those things appropriately. They get regulated. I express myself. I cry when my body wants to cry. But instead I flip it. I am love. I am boldness. I am courage. I am confidence. You know, think about that. We have such a hard time saying I am love, but we have no problem saying I am scaredness.
Right.
How twisted is that? Any thoughts?
I think it's just anticipating, like, that, knowing that it's okay, that it's gonna happen. Like, you're gonna feel the feels. You're gonna have days where it's gonna feel overwhelming or anxious. Don't get surprised by that, and also don't look down on it. Like, we love therapy. We think therapy should be a part of everybody's self-care, just like your regular, you know, naturopath, chiropractic, massage therapist. Like, it's a part of your body. It's a part of your being.
Taboo around that, right? There's such a taboo around therapy.
Our generation is so been told that and that's why we're sharing these things. Our generation has so been told the feels are bad, therapy is wrong, depression is, you know, the end all be all, like all of these things, and it limits you because you don't see how you can get through it and how it's actually going to work for you. You see it as this shameful thing that is wrong because we've been taught that the feels are just bad and wrong, and we need to avoid them at all costs. We need to be good all the time. Like, we need to be okay. Everything needs to be all right. Like, and it's just not real. Like, it's just it's not who anybody is. We are all human, and the quicker we can get over looking like we have it all together on the outside, the quicker we can get over that, and the more we can just keep it real with each other, obviously within boundaries, and, you know, you're not going to just share all your junk with somebody you don't know, but having a sense of realness amongst others, that's where people are like, they are for real, they are authentic, they are the real deal. People are longing for that because we're so used to being in a culture and society that's, you know, just always good. I mean, you think of when you check out in a grocery store,
how
like,
are you?
How are you doing? Good. It's like so programmed. Or, you know, like anyways, I won't like reference that one, but I mean, but I just feel like it's so
especially in church culture, there is a performance culture still in the world at large. But it's very easy to hide behind my Bible, to hide behind my memorization of my Bible, to hide behind my career, my bank account.
Your appearance.
Yes, but I think especially with the church, because it almost, you feel like you have this extra right or this extra privilege to hide behind these things, because you're putting in the time, you giving, you're showing up. There's a self-righteousness attached to it. So here's a little test, right? Whenever you trigger, and a trigger is just basically something that distracts you or disrupts you from this present moment, from enjoying here and now, which is a sense of well-being, walking in the spirit here and now, right? When something triggers you and you go up in your head and you start entertaining thoughts, it could be, oh, he didn't respond to my text message. He must not like me. Oh, that's exciting. You've got some work to do. Make every effort to enter into his rest.
We're talking to ourselves. This is a daily practice.
So there's a trigger. So what am I going to do? Am I going to be in denial of this trigger and just pretend that I don't feel a certain way, right? Or am I going to see the trigger as an invitation to be seated where I am within me and observe that trigger and that part of me, that insecurity that is looking for love and attention from the real me, the extension of love within myself. I hope that makes sense. So instead of taking some action outside of myself so I don't have to feel the feels, or instead of being in denial, I lovingly and compassionately observe that insecurity and I smile at it. I'm honest with it. I accept that it's there. I love it. I love that it showed up, and I'm kind to it. And guess what happens? That part of me physiologically regulates in time. It literally regulates, and I've now just transmuted this negative emotion, negative energy within myself, and I've transmuted it into something positive. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, but it can be transmuted. This is just science, right? So now what I've done is I've become an alchemist. I've become aware of this thing. And now instead of being afraid of pain, I actually turn pain into pleasure. Can you imagine how free you are? Like for us now, it's again, there's still things that will come up. That's awesome. But now it's just the awareness is sharper, right? The understanding is sharper.
Being able to separate it and know,
Exactly,
like, wow,
detaching.
this isn't overwhelming. This isn't going to take me down. This isn't who I am anymore.
The
this is just
perspective.
something that needs to be regulated.
And this is something that's sacred. This is something that's special to me. This is a part of me that's not evil or sinful. This is a part of me that's been protecting me from rejection and from hurt. It's been trying to do a job, but it no longer works. It's not necessary. I'm awakened now. So instead, like my tantruming child, I don't shout at my tantruming child most of the time. The best way to handle that is to let them tantrum. And the best way to handle that is to be calm and observe without giving them their way, right? I'm not going to let this undercurrent, this trigger, be the motivation for some action I'm going to take outside of myself or not. I'm going to let that trigger be the motivating factor that gets me to lovingly observe and help to regulate that part of me. This is the practice. This is spiritual practice 101. And as I'm doing this, transformation is literally happening. It's so powerful. Authenticity, sincerity. When I say no, it's from a healthy motivation. When I say yes, it's from a healthy motivation. I don't say yes because I want to please somebody. I say yes because I know I am pleasing. I don't say no because I'm insecure and I want to pretend to be tough. No, I say no because I know my capacity and my boundaries. And lastly, I'll say this practice, it really cultivates wisdom and compassion for me on another level. Wisdom and compassion, which is really beautiful. I find myself being so much less judgmental towards myself, towards others, which is just so freeing. It's just beautiful. It's freedom.
Because you're extending kindness to yourself. And you can extend that kindness first to yourself. You can love others with that kind of love. It's versus like judging yourself and judging your feels, judging what's coming up. You're instead extending kindness, so then it's the same outward. And you can feel that currency like with others too. So yeah, this stuff works. I mean, we've been walking through this for a while now. It's not like we're an expert again. We just share it as an encouragement to you, and just hope that this encourages you if you're on a path of feeling like, you know, life is falling apart, or things on the inside are shaking up, or things just didn't turn out the way that you would have hoped, or any fill in the blank. Just know that it's going to work for you. Let all things work as a catalyst for wholeness. That's really become one of our biggest phrases. All things in life work for us as a catalyst for wholeness.
That's right.
Every single scenario and situation can work for you, truly, because it can help bring things up in you that you can then, you know, love on, regulate, feel, just be able to acknowledge and not live in a place of disunion with yourself, with your soul, with your mind, but live in a place of full union, being true to yourself. And that in itself carries weight and authenticity. So,
and then I will say this too, on the other side of that, when you don't like react to what's happening in you by taking compulsive action or manic action, but you hold the line, you rest, you observe, when that regulates, when you feel better, when you feel like yourself, and now you go take whatever action, then the magic starts just happening. Seeing all of that play out, it's just awesome. There's no performing here, there's no striving, right? You know, it's just I'm being a friend to myself. Yeah. You know, and then that happens. Yeah. As wild as that sounds, it's true.
We're befriending ourselves.
When the loneliness comes up, I love on the loneliness. And guess what? Now I attract the right people in my life. Anyway.
Sounds funny.
That's the end of part 2.
We've made no friends other than ourselves.
Yeah, that's what I was. I am my best friend. And then I met her alter ego.
Anyways, we love you guys.
Peace.
Please give us some feedback. Please subscribe if you have not yet. And we will talk to you all.
Arrivederci.